Have you ever felt that whisper in your soul calling you to something more, but all the things spinning around in your mind have kept you stuck? Well, what if I told you that choosing excellence could be both easier and more adventurous than you could ever imagine? I am Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, your host of All Things Excellence. I'm a soul catalyst for excellence who leapt off that corporate cliff and left small-town Iowa farm life in my 20s to follow my calling, helping women come home to themselves by anchoring into who they're designed to be. I create sacred containers where women rediscover their truth, design their dream life, and transform those whispers into action. Now you can find me running my business from the soccer sidelines as a coach's wife, hiking my favorite Arizona mountain, or back in Iowa with my family, or on an adventure chasing my next sunrise, hot cup of coffee and journal in hand. Through intimate conversations about the stories, the traumas, and the transformations behind choosing excellence, we're creating a collective healing journey together. I believe in diving deep into personality designs, experimenting boldly, and learning life's greatest lessons through our beautiful chaos. Every week, my guests and I are going to rip down the curtains so you can see behind the scenes of real transformation as we explore what excellence actually looks like. Not just the highlight reel, but that messy middle where the magic happens. Whether you're seeking inspiration to take that leap or already on your journey and craving connection, this is your invitation to join us. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Things Excellence podcast, to episode 2. Today we're going to talk about becoming aligned and unstoppable, the framework to living an intentional life of ease and excellence. So I'm going to tell you a little story about how this framework came to be. I have grown up in an entrepreneurial home. My dad is a farmer. All of my grandparents are farmers. And so I think when you do that, when you grow up in an entrepreneurial home, it causes you to grow up around excellence, right? It's not, you can't just show up to work every day and give out the energy that you've got. You've got to show up to work for yourself every single day. You've got to make things happen, right? Instead of showing up to work and life comes to you, you got to show up every day to go out and get work to come to you, to get life to meet you there. And so when you do that, you start accruing a lot of habits that help you create daily excellence, that help you create daily accountability with yourself. I can definitely say, that having a mom I grew up with a mom in direct sales, that made a really big deal. I remember being 5 years old and having her daily plan sheet. Right? It's a daily plan sheet, a weekly plan sheet, and I would take my own daily and weekly plan sheets and I would highlight them with all of my different marker colors. And I think about how even at 5 years old, I was learning the art of time management, right? And so I always say to my team, my employees, anyone that I coach with, I never expect you to show up to our coaching session with all of these skills, right? With all these time management skills and task management skills, because even though to me, they're as easy as they are to breathe, I've also been acquiring them all of my life. And so I want you to know that between growing up with parents that are entrepreneurs, in spending the last 15 years in the top 2% of my direct sales company, I've been in masterminds, I've been in leadership programs, I've done coaching certifications, I've done a ton of other programs, just in really guided growth for the last 30 years. Yes, I was little, I'm not 80 years old. I did start when I was young. All of those things, I have taken all of those things to bring them together to help me design what is my signature course called Aligned and Unstoppable, the framework to living an intentional life of ease and excellence. And today on this podcast episode, I am going to bring you guys a really cool sneak peek about this. So it's going to help you uncover how you want your life to feel. It's going to help you connect your ideal life to actionable, trackable metrics. Going to help you understand your internal motivators. And we usually do that in coaching sessions by using various modalities such as Enneagram, Clifton Strengths, Human Design, whatever your language is. Those are my 3 favorites. So I'll talk to my clients about those, using those. I'm going to help you meet your fears that are causing you to sabotage. And we're going to talk today about writing a new story to reprogram your brain. right? We're all born with fears. Sometimes we're born with fears of the past. Sometimes we're born with fears of the future. But regardless of what those fears are, we can counteract them, right? Because our brain isn't fixed. There's a book by Carol Dweck called Mindset, and it talks about where you can have a fixed or a growth mindset. And really, truly, anyone can choose to have a growth mindset, right? Where we can choose to rewire the thoughts in our brain. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And so, okay, let's see. First of all, I want to talk to you guys about today about knowing what motivates you, And yes, again, you can dive into StrengthsFinder, you can dive into Enneagram, you can dive into human design, and you can find those things. But off the top, I think it's really easy to just identify one of your core motivators. One of my favorite things to talk about, sometimes you hear them called the 5 basic needs, not to be confused with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Not that. More of like your 5 core motivational needs. They can be 1, power and achievement, right? You're very motivated by the win. Now, I'm not saying just because you love winning and achieving that you're a power and achievement person. No one came out of their mom's womb and was like, I just want to suck at life and I just want to lose. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a loser for the rest of my life. Okay, literally said no one ever said that. But it means that your need of life, you are motivated and driven to be winning and achieving, which you would think might be mine, but it is actually not. The second one is called love and connecting. You're motivated by that collab, by the connection, by the feels. Maybe you are a part of a group, or you love your job because of the people that are there and how you feel the community, right? You love that sense of community. The third one is safety and security. These people tend to be motivated by a savings account. They're going to be motivated to keep a job because it's like the safe and secure option, maybe the pay, maybe the benefits, whatever those would be. No one in my house is a safety and security person, kind of sadly. I think it would be really good if somebody in our house was a safety and security person, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. No one in my house is that person. Neither one of us are necessarily motivated by a savings account. We're motivated by the fourth type, which is fun and adventure. You can call it fun and pleasure. You can call it fun and adventure. My husband and I are both fun and adventure people. We are motivated by, is this fun? And when the fun is done, so are we. And I think if you asked my parents some famous last words of little Chelsea, right? Maybe not little, I'm pretty sure. Okay, younger Chelsea, they would tell you, this is not fun. I would say that all the time. This is not fun. I'm not having fun. So the moment the fun is done, so am I. When you're a fun and adventure person, I say I'm living from the next, I'm living from one flight to the next, right? And not necessarily do you have to be a fun and adventure person to love that, but they love the fun. They love the party. They love the excitement. They love being with the people. And then that leads me to the 5th core motivator type, and that is freedom and flexibility. They are motivated by getting to do what they want to do whenever they want to do it. It was probably 9 months ago when I asked my really good friend Brittany, I said, I just kind of hit this place where I was like, meh, you ever been there? Where you're just asking yourself, why do I do this again? Like, you love it, but in that moment, you've just hit a lull and you're going, why do I love this again? What am I motivated by? And she said, you are motivated to do whatever the heck you want to do on a Friday. And I thought, there are no truer words that have ever been spoken. I am so motivated to do whatever I want to do on a Friday or a Tuesday at 2 or a Wednesday at 10 a.m. I love getting to design my life around my favorite Pilates classes. So my primary is the fun and adventure, but my secondary core motivator definitely is freedom and flexibility. I did have one like real corporate job, where I had to show up every day and I was accountable to somebody. I had it for a whole year upon graduating from college with a degree in business, and it really didn't work out for me. And the biggest reason was I couldn't understand accruing vacation days, and I couldn't understand asking permission to use them. And I just realized that sometimes there are moments, right, where I think about safety and security of, having a salary. And then I realized, nope, at the end of the day, the thing that matters most to me is, am I having fun? Can I go on my next adventure whenever I want to? And can I do what I want to do whenever I want to do it just because I woke up and I wanted to? So figuring out that core motivation. Are you driven by the power and achievement? Are you driven by the ability to have that community, that love, that connection? Maybe you're driven by the safety and security, like this feels good, this feels safe, this feels secure. Or maybe you're driven more by that fun and adventure like I am, or by the freedom and the flexibility. Next, we want to talk about dreaming a new dream. Once you've figured out that core motivator, what are you really motivated? What like gets you out of bed in the morning and makes you want to go, right? Then we figure out what new dream do you need to dream. And I think that we can overcomplicate this. I think there was this era we went through where there was this giant obsession with what's my why? And it's like, helping starving children in another country or saving all of the dogs off of a Sarah McLachlan commercial, right? We are obsessed with this deep world-changing why, and we all need to create 501c3s and have philanthropic organizations. You guys, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I want to talk about the simplicity of dreaming a new dream. How do you want your life to feel? Your most ideal life. How do you want that to feel? And I'm going to tell you guys a little story about this new dream that I recently had. So at the time of me recording this episode, we are about 3.5, 4 weeks out of Christmas. So just a few weeks ago, we were getting ready for Christmas morning. We're home by ourselves. My husband and I, we live in the Phoenix Metroplex. Our family's all the way back in Iowa. We're happy about it. We love it. We love having a good, calm Christmas. He works in education, so it's about the only downtime of year that we get at all. And I'm sitting on the couch and he's in the kitchen and he said, "Hey, what is your favorite Christmas memory? What is your favorite Christmas memory?" Now, the thing to know about my husband is he's a giant contemplator, so I felt zero need to come up with an answer right away. So a few hours later, I had my answer. And my answer was not a specific moment, but an overarching memory. And my overarching favorite Christmas memory is being with specifically my mom's family at Christmas and all of my cousins, because every year we would get together, we would have lunch, we would open presents, we would go outside, we'd play outside, we might be playing in the snow, or if there was no snow, we're probably playing football. We'd come in, we'd have more desserts, of course, right? We'd eat the food that had probably been sitting there for hours, because 30 years ago, none of us worried about all these things. You let the ham sit out for hours on end, right? And you're eating the Christmas cookies for the 8th time that day that your aunt brought. And then we would all lay all over the floor and we'd put on our pajamas that we'd probably gotten that day, and we would watch movies for hours and hours and hours. Our parents would all go do the chores. They would feed the animals. We'd be watching the movies. Our parents would come back. We'd bust open those tin tubs of popcorn, with all the high fructose corn syrup that none of us are eating anymore. But back then we didn't know, we didn't care. We'd eat that, and we'd order pizza or we'd eat leftovers. And we would spend hours laying on the floor with our cousins, our aunts and our uncles, watching movies. We were probably 10 years old watching Mission Impossible and James Bond, and who cared, right? Like, nobody thought about what you were watching at that level, I guess. Back then, we were watching it, whatever. And I thought, that's my favorite memory. It's being with my cousins, being with my aunts and uncles and my grandparents, and laughing so hard that you have tears streaming down your cheeks. And in that moment, when he asked me that, I realized that I had just birthed a new dream, because I have a niece and 3 nephews, and they obviously live clear back in Iowa. We live here in Phoenix. And I realized in that moment that I had this new dream to get a very specific house that's built for entertaining, built for all of them coming in. I decided in that moment, every 3 years, I'm going to fly them in for Christmas. They don't even know this yet, so we'll see if they listen to this podcast, because they will hear this and then they'll call me. I thought I would just surprise them with tickets. I have really awesome sister-in-laws, and my brothers will just have to get over it. The girls will be excited though, because it's cold there and it's warm here, right? It'll be a fun thing. Then I'm gonna fly them in every 3 years for Christmas. I'm gonna decorate the house like it's never been decorated for Christmas before. We're gonna have a pool in the backyard. Of course it's going to be heated, so I can hear the kids leaping in and out of the pool. I can hear the laughter of, my family members around the kitchen table playing board games. I can smell the smell of my mom's homemade apple pie and her sugar cookies. Just absolutely everything that would make these 5 days together perfect. I'm gonna make us the family that wakes up on Christmas morning and we go for a Christmas hike at the mountain about 15 minutes away from our house. I know they're probably really excited about that. I'll be giving them hiking boots for Christmas, I'm sure, because they probably don't even have them at this point. But you guys, when I fixated my mind all of a sudden on how can I create as many laugh so hard we cry moments with my siblings, their wives, my niece, my nephews, and my parents, how can I do that? That Christmas moment was the first thing that popped in my mind. But the first step towards that is creating the income that purchases this home, that purchases the flights, that sets all the things up. I mean, heating a pool in the middle of Arizona winter, like that's not the cheapest thing either, right? And I've probably got to heat it. I probably got to heat this thing for like 8 days to get it to the right temperature and to maintain that for them while they're here. And all of a sudden, when I locked in this new dream, I found myself leaping out of bed every single morning. I found myself digging in and wanting to create excellence in my job every single day. And you guys, it is that simple. I think sometimes we get so stuck in the mundane day-to-day of our job, even if our job is really rewarding. Like I live a really rewarding life. I have so much daily joy and happiness, but I had lost my hunger, right? I lost my hunger, and that's because I needed to dream a new dream. So inside of our Aligned and Unstoppable framework, the first thing that we step into is we step into the 8 areas of growth. So there are 8 areas where you literally go over these 8 areas and you write out how you want those areas to feel. The different areas are called Selah. So it's like heaven on earth moments, spiritual, physical. I say for physical, I always want to feel superhuman, that I have more than enough energy to do all of the things that I want to do. Your emotional, your family, your career calling, your friends, and your financial. How do you want those 8 areas of growth in your life to feel? Once you've established how you want them to feel, then you move into the metrics. Setting up 1 to 2 metrics in each of those areas that helps you have a measurable action, how to action to actually go after those things, right? So 1, figure out how you're motivated. 2, start dreaming a new dream, using those 8 areas to ask yourself, how do I want those areas of my life to feel? And when you figure out what is that ideal life I want to live 5 years from now, what do I hope my life is like? Because when you can throw yourself out 5 years from now and back that up, it helps you figure out, well, what's step 1 that I need to do today? For myself, I said, what if 5 years from now, I'm preparing to fly them out for a second time, for a second Christmas? How old will my niece and nephews be? How old will my parents be? What do I want that to look like? Do we want to build a house that also has a casita in it? So if my parents want to come in the winter for a day or a month, what will that look like? What kind of income do we need to create to have that? Also, what kind of a career, how do I want to set my career up that I can go back and see these kids because they're going to start being in all of the things, right? Right now they're 3, 4, 6, and 7. But 5 years from now, they're going to be really heavily engaged in a lot of sports. Do I want to create an income that allows me to buy a small house back in my hometown that I can Airbnb when I'm not there? So when I am there, I can be really present with the kids and I can spend great time with them. I can be there for all of the activities that they're in, but I can also have a place that's sacred, that's mine, that I can run my business really well. So asking myself all of those questions, backing it down from the dream, creating metrics for measurable action to go after those. And then the 4th thing that we do inside the Aligned and Unstoppable course is that we meet your fears head on. They say that you can have 2 types of fears of the future or fears of the past. Fears of the future is maybe something like, how can I create that? Will I be able to keep going? Like, what is that going to look like? I don't know how to make it happen. Or you can have fears of the past. So fears of the past, that's my personal fear of choice. Fear of the past says, what if I mess this up again? Because about 10 years ago, I felt like I fell on my face from a business standpoint and a life standpoint. Like, I have never, ever fallen on my face before. Now, I do live a very crash, burn, learn kind of life. It's just how I'm wired. It's something even in my human design profile tells me it's how I'm wired. I'm one giant crash, burn, and learn times 10,000. But this felt really big, and it felt like the level at which I screwed up my business, my finances, it put stress on our marriage, it put stress in my family. I had created this fear of, well, we don't ever want to go back there again. That fear was keeping me from also creating something new. So not only was it creating me from making something new, but it was basically keeping me really stuck and really small. And so I had to create a new truth statement, honoring. I used to feel that if I start this new thing, I'm just going to crash it and everything's going to be stressful. So what's the point, right? Honoring that past fear, right? That actually at the time was a really current fear, but then also meeting it and going, and then one day I woke up and realized that's a big lie. It's just a big lie. Because, and then putting in new affirmation statements. So really to rewire your brain, you have to acknowledge the old statements, acknowledge the lies that you're telling yourself. Tell your brain, just kidding, woke up today, realized that's a lie. We're not believing that anymore. This is what we're believing from now on because I'm awesome, because I'm all the things. And then you say, because that is true, I am. You are what, right? I am launching this new podcast. I am creating these beautiful courses. I am building a wildly sustainable organization. And one of the things for me was about how I woke up and realized that's a big lie, because I realized that the way that I learn is by crash, burn, and learn. And that falling on my face always creates wisdom, and that creates compassion. And that I'm grateful for that, right? Honoring that path, honoring falling on my face, getting all the skin off of my face. That's how it felt. Not really, but metaphorically, that's really how it felt. And then I'm grateful for the scars, because without them, without falling on my face so hard, I wouldn't have the level of compassion that I have, and I wouldn't be able to coach other people the way that I'm able to coach them. So you move through all of those things. So again, figure out how you're motivated. Dream a new dream. Put metrics to those dreams, and then meet your fears head on. To close up today, I'm just going to say, if you listened to this and you went, oh my gosh, okay, I'm a soul starter, I got this, I'm going to implement these things, I know that I can go after this, you can go over to my website, chelseadbc.com, Chelsea, D as in dog, B as in boys, C as in Chelsea, chelseadbc.com, and you can access a bunch of tools that are going to help you step into alignment for this new year. Or I'm also offering alignment intensive sessions. And in these sessions, you and I work one-on-one for a few hours. Together, we're going to unpack your dreams and turn them into actionable realities. Head on over to my website. You can grab all the really fun tools that I just talked about. And if you're interested, even schedule an alignment intensive session. You and I partnering up together. I love y'all. My favorite thing in the world, I always say, I'm a soul catalyst for excellence, right? I'm a soul catalyst for excellence. I help women get what they want out of their life. I help them get from A to B. Clear all the clutter that's going on in your mind, all the things that have got you confused and stuck, and you're not quite sure what the next best step is to take. We're going to clear all that out of the way, and we're going to help you build that life that you want this year. So, thank you for listening today. I can't wait to see you or hear you or be with you on the next episode of All Things Excellent.